Hi, everybody. So sorry. Hi, everybody. Hi. Hello, hello. I hope you're all good. I'm so sorry about that. My name is Darlene from the blog Hill to Speak, and I hope you all are doing good. Happy Friday. Forgive me if I'm a little subdued today, but I'm just not feeling that well. Um, However, I knew about a week ago that I was going to do a video this week. So I was going to change my mind and write, but I said, let me stick to the plan and do a video. So again, this is Darlene from the blog Hill to Speak. I hope you all are good. And today I wanted to talk to you about the consequences of unforgiveness. And before I get started, I want to say two things. So I'll be discussing in this, I'm really kind of telling you a story, but I'll be talking about my mother and my brother. My mother, she's no longer here. She passed away about almost 4 years ago in January. And my brother I spoke to, and he was fine with me sharing with you what I'm going to share. And it's not that it's anything really deep, because to be honest with you, I'm going to omit those parts because it's just not necessary. But I still didn't want to just put my brother out there without, even though you guys don't know him, but I didn't want to put him out there, it's on video, and I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that he would be okay with me sharing with you why I'm discussing the topic of the consequences of unforgiveness. So I could go so far back, but I won't do that. And I'll start by just saying the reason why I was prompted to start this blog was to share some of my stories of, what I've been through, which some of you know was emotional, sexual, and physical abuse, among other things, um, in hopes that it would help you to understand that you can overcome with God. The Lord can help you overcome. So that is the purpose of me sharing what I share with you guys. Um, I also want to say, kind of piggybacking a little bit, that although my mother isn't here to defend herself, um, she was pretty private, and it's important that God's timing, you do things in God's time, because if this was years ago, I would never have ever shared some of these things, because um, she would have been embarrassed, and I would never want to do that to her. But I honestly, want you to know that I feel free enough that even though she isn't here, I can share. And like I said, I won't share too much, but I'll share enough so you can get the point. So I'll start by saying that um, about, I would say 5 years ago, I started to rebuild, or rather build, a relationship with my mother. Um, it was hard for me because she was the person behind most of the pain that I went through as a child, all the way up until I left the house, which was 18 years old. So my whole existence with her was unfortunately a negative one. But after I got saved, and then the Holy Spirit just really started dealing with me about forgiving, I forgave her. Now, she didn't know it, but I did. So by the time my mom and I started to talk again, I was already married, had children. She didn't even, know. She knew I was married, but she didn't know, you know, just all the other stuff. But anyway, we started to talk on the phone and rebuild build something. And I was so encouraged and so happy by that, because I was so broken in regard to the relationship, or lack thereof, a relationship with my mother, that it was hard for me. People didn't know it, of course, but it was hard for me to be around other women who had a good relationship with their mother, because I wanted to know what that was like. I envied it. I did. We're not supposed to envy, but I did, because of that hole that was missing in my own heart of what is it like to have your mom, and talk to your mom, and lay with your mom and hang out with your mom. Your mom is your friend. I didn't know what any of that was. And it was so hard for me. It's not anymore, but it was so hard for me. And I still had moments where I missed what I didn't have with my mother. But I know God in his perfect time, he'll take care of that part. So anyhow, sorry I got off on a tangent a little bit, but we started to talk on the phone, and my mother, excuse me, admitted to the things that she did. I wasn't looking for that, but she did, and she was so apologetic and so sad, and shared, some of the things that she went through as a young person that, I'm sure, aided in her continuing some of the same patterns that she experienced. And she didn't know that. Some things she knew and some things she didn't know. But I accepted her apology, and we were on our way to build something. And I remember, I had a relationship with my brother, my younger brother, and we were talking. And I said, you need to talk to mommy because he has some things against her too. I never really knew why, because a lot of what we went through growing up was all on me mainly. But okay, he had his reasons. So I said, you need to talk to mommy, and he was adamant that he didn't want to do that. No, no, no. And I remember one day we were on the phone, not on the phone. That was another time. He was at my house, and we were talking about my mother. And I said, I won't say his name, but I said, brother, what if something happens to mommy? And he said, I don't care. I'll never forget that. And I just looked at him like, I remember trying to figure out, what did she do? you know. But I said, what if mommy passes away and you never got to say these things to her that you need to say? So fast forward in November of 2011, my mother had a really bad accident. She was cooking dinner one night, and her robe, she had a robe on, her robe caught fire, and she caught fire, and her body was burned like 80%, third degree. And so, she was rushed to the hospital, and I found out from another family member, and I went to see her, and it wasn't good. And I remember telling my brother, and he was upset, but not really. And I just thought, I just didn't understand it, but, that's between him and God. I just would pray. Um, so in January that year, the next year, 2012, well, before that, I'll say I believed God. I believed that He would heal her. I was praying and believing, and you couldn't tell me anything different. My husband and I were praying. We had other people, praying for us. So in January of that next year, 2012, I got a call in the middle of the night that she wasn't doing well, and it was out of the blue because up until then, I was getting a call like every other day from the hospital, letting me know that she was doing better. She was doing great, and I just, I was so grateful. So we go to the hospital that night, and you could clearly tell, you could just clearly tell. So I asked my husband to leave the room, and I talked to my mother. She was sedated, but, I still believe, I just needed to talk to her. So I talked to her and gave her a kiss, told her I loved her. And then I called my brother, and I said, brother, Mommy's in the hospital and it's not looking good. You need to get here. And he, seriously? What? I didn't know it was that bad. And I said, I told you it was bad when it happened. You need to come see. And I must have called him about 3 or 4 times. And he said, okay, I'm coming. I left the hospital about, I can't remember, but I would say it's probably like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I was there since maybe like 2 or 3, and I left early late in the afternoon the next morning, something like that. And I left with my family, and before I left, I was like, Mommy, I love you. I'll be back. It was so stressful because the doctors kept coming to me, pressuring me to pull the plug. They wanted me to let her go. And I didn't know what to do, but I knew I didn't want to do that. And so, in addition to just everything that's going through my mind, I'm thinking, well, God, I don't want to be the one to pull the plug on my mother. If it's her time, you have to let it be that. And so, I went and tried to talk to my family, and anyhow, it was basically on me. Um, so I went in the room because everyone was leaving. I wanted to just get cleaned up and come back. So I was like, Mom, I love you. I'll be back. I'll see you later. And I'm sure you can figure out where the story's going. So when I got home, I got a call from the hospital that she had passed away. And it was so devastating. You're never really prepared for something like that. And then for me, I just felt at the time that everything I experienced was tragedy. It was always tragic. It just couldn't be a happy time. just tragedy, one thing after the next, all the time. And, she passed, and of course, I cried, and I called my brother, and I said, Mommy died. And he was just silent for a while. And then he just said, I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know. And I said, yeah, I kept telling you. And he just said, I can't believe she's gone. And I didn't say. And all of a sudden, all the flood of emotion came out of him that he was holding on to. But the sad part was he had an opportunity on several occasions to forgive her, talk to her, and didn't want to. And at that point, it was too late. It was too late. And I felt bad for him, but there was nothing I could say. And even when I tried to give him words of comfort, I could tell it wasn't giving him what he needed, because the pain was in his soul, and there's nothing I could do about that. God has to deal with that, and he had to commit it to God on his own. So even at the funeral, it was just after the funeral. After the funeral for months, we were talking on the phone every now and then. How you doing? And he wasn't good. And so I tell you this story to say there's a reason why God tells us to forgive, no matter who it is. And for me, the first experience that you have is with your parents. And I didn't have a relationship with my father. Never. I met him once, never had a relationship with him. And then with my mother, it was not a good one at all. So that was all that I knew. That was all that I knew. And but I still had to forgive her for myself. And that's what I want to share with you. The consequences of unforgiveness is the void that you will feel, that God does not want you to feel. Even though she died the way she did and I was upset, I had peace. I will never forget being peaceful. And someone that I was close to at the time, we talked to the phone, and she said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, because we talked and we patched it up and I'm good. And she was like, thank God. She was so happy, and so was I. And then I saw my brother go through for months with a void in his soul, because that's what it was. So I just wanted to share this story with you to let you know, forgive. My mother, because of the state of mind she was in and just some other things, she just did some things that no child should have to experience. But I still had to forgive her. And some people really struggle with that. And I really understand. I totally do. Because when I first went through the process, I was like, Lord, it seems unfair. But he has a plan, and we have to trust that. And I had peace. And I still have peace. And it's nothing like knowing, thank God I dealt with that situation. We talked. I had prayer with my mother. And when she passed, yes, it was a sad time, because, I was even sad for her because she had been through a lot. And I just thought, wow. But regardless of all that, I had peace. I had peace in my soul. And to be honest with you, I think I was probably one of the only people that really did, to be honest with you. And I won't get into all of that. But so I just want to encourage you today, forgive. And forgiveness is ongoing. It's every day. And I've had things happen where, after my mom passed, where people I really love hurt me. And I had to forgive them. In fact, Lord, I forgive them. And I had to keep saying it over and over and over, because sometimes all you do is replay the offense. And you can't do that, but sometimes that's what you do. So I just want to encourage you to forgive. 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 And it doesn't matter who it is, your boss, your parents, your brothers, your friend. Forgive. Forgive. Is worth it for the state of your soul. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you again for listening, if you did. And I just ask that if you're blessed by anything that I write, or anything that I do a video on, share it with somebody. Maybe it can be a blessing for them. My goal only of this video is to share my heart with you and share what God has done in my life, in hopes that you'll know that he can do the same thing for you that he did for me. I love you guys, and thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and enjoy this season. And I'll see you guys next Friday. Love you so much. Thank you. Bye.